Item 10B, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with DKS Associates for a not-to-exceed amount of $83,000 to provide engineering design services for the Commodore Drive Pedestrian Access Project.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and member of the City Council. I'm Tina Singh, Associate Civil Engineer with Public Services Department. This item tonight is relating to Commodore Drive. As you're aware, Commodore Drive is one of the city routes that pedestrians use frequently to get to and from the San Bruno BART station, the crossing, the National Archive building, local park, school, and Bay Hill Shopping Center. However, Commodore Drive between Palos Verdes School and the crossing development lacks any sidewalk. Pedestrians generally walk in street alongside with vehicular traffic. The objective of this project is to improve safety and to create a continuous pedestrian system by constructing sidewalk alongside this section of Commodore Drive. A little bit background about this project. A petition including 121 residents and from the workers at the archive building was submitted to the Traffic Safety and Parking Committee and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee in 2008 requesting pedestrian facility improvements along this section of Commodore Drive. In the following year, City applied and received $160,000 of grant funds to construct the proposed project. The original project scope for this project include concrete sidewalk, curb and gutter, accessible ramps, and pedestrian scale lighting. An added component of the project since then is the pavement rehab. In this past July, staff meet with the City Council Infrastructure Subcommittee and informed them of these project elements and the potential increase in design and construction costs due to the added pavement rehab component. Requests for proposals were sent to 31 engineering firms for engineering design services. We received three proposals. DKS Associate was selected as the most qualified based on their proposal and interview. DKS proposed to perform the engineering services in the amount of $83,000. This fee includes design services for the pedestrian facilities, pavement rehab, and lighting. DKS had performed other and complete other engineering services in the city for the city in the past. The grant requires the construction expenses be incurred by end of July 2012. Based on the current timeline, the construction of the proposed project will be completed by June 2012 and will meet the grant deadline. The item in front of you tonight is specifically for the design contract for this project. However, your decision will frame the design scope and might increase project costs. The original project estimate is $320,000. This amount should be sufficient to include design and construction for pedestrian facility and lighting. Project estimate might be increased to $360,000 if the scope includes design and construction of pedestrian facilities and pavement rehab. Project estimate might also increase up to $400,000 if the scope includes what we had discussed, the design and construction for pedestrian facility, pavement rehab, and lighting. There are 4 different options how the City Council could act on this action in regarding the design services contract. Staff recommendation is to approve the contract in an amount of $83,000 for the design for pedestrian facility, pavement rehab, and lighting, or approve the contract in an amount of $76,000 to design pedestrian facility and lighting, or approve the contract in an amount of $83,000 to design pedestrian facility, pavement rehab, lighting, but to delay the lighting installation to in a future day, or ultimately not to proceed with the project. As I stated earlier, our recommendation is for the City Council to consider to approve and authorize the city manager to execute a contract in an amount of $83,000 with DKS Associates. The next step for staff, if approved, is to complete design, and staff will provide an update of the project budget when returned to the City Council with a recommendation to award a construction contract. With that, any question?
It makes sense to do all three in my mind, but I mean, is there any savings in doing the lighting now or not doing the lighting now in one contiguous project?
The saving right now, if we decide not to do the lighting, would be depending if we want to go ahead with the design. Design itself is $17,000, and construction cost is about, as we are estimating, about $40,000. So there is a total of about $57,000 saving right now. That's what we estimate.
Right, but what I'm getting at is if we say, you know, $83,000, let's get it designed, but let's hold the lighting off until a later date. Is it going to cost more to do that, or is it going to be cheaper to do the lighting all at the same time?
Doing the lighting later more likely will increase the cost later on, and also doing everything together probably will have a benefit of scale. If you are combining more element in the same time for the same project, probably you will get a better bid price.
Why would estimate that the cost would increase? Is it just because of time? Or is it because the project complex when they do it?
It's my assumption that the reason if you will delay the lighting and you will construct the lighting separately, in time the construction cost has the tendency to increase, that in time the construction cost will increase. And if you will have only just this small project later on to any contractor to bid on, typically for smaller job is a relative higher construction cost.
Okay, so we can get it all designed for $83,000, but if we delay the installation of the lighting, it could cost us more later if we don't do it now.
Yes, you
Okay.
are correct.
All right.
Through the chair.
Ken?
This is a pedestrian project, and being on the subcommittee, I was just asking my partner on the subcommittee, when did the paving costs come in? And what is, and that's not necessarily related to the project, is it? And I mean, I guess I posed the same question the mayor did. Is that something that we can hold off on without, without increasing the price later on? I mean, it has an index of 69, which, in this town is pretty good. And I don't want to jeopardize the funding. I don't want to jeopardize that grant. We worked really hard for that grant, and we're under the gun to get it done. So I'd be more inclined to, and it needs the lighting. I mean, we need the lighting, we need the sidewalk. What is your opinion on holding off on the $84,000 in repaving?
Again, reiterate what the director said. You always will have a economy of scale benefit, and it would.
I heard that.
we can hear you.
It would make sense to do a project in the same area now or later, because the payment, as you said, the PCI index is at 69, and comparably, the appropriate rehab treatment would be overlay. And as I said, it would be a good time to do it together.
Right,
And
as far as rehabbing a street, but you're going to get a different contractor to do the street than you would. I mean, it's not like you're going to bring out the same contractor to do the street as you did with the sidewalk. it doesn't jeopardize the integrity of the project as a pedestrian project, with full lighting, and good sidewalk.
You are absolutely right, and the paving itself could be incorporated in our next phase on the paving, neighborhood paving project, and could be incorporated with other paving projects throughout the city. One technical reason why initially this was thought that would be the appropriate thing to combine with this project at this time, that the design not being done for this project, the issue came up that maybe you have to shift a little bit the alignment, depending how the right-of-way issue will be clarified and how exactly the layout of the sidewalk will looks like, that maybe you will have to shift the pavement, and then how that pavement will looks like after the sidewalk will be constructed, not knowing exactly right now how that design will looks like. And that would be the only technical reason
And
why.
I recall that being an
Yes.
issue. I mean, do we have any more information on the right-of-way?
This is basically for you to act on awarding the design,
Okay.
and no detailed design work was done yet on this project, and the department is not knowledgeable enough exactly how the final layout of the project will look like.
Through the chair.
Irene?
Actually, one of my questions was, why do we need to design the asphalt? Because we're just throwing asphalt over what's there. But from what you just said, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to have the designer look at what needs to be done to make that whole area safer. I've driven by there and walked by there many times, and it is the most bizarre way to get around you've ever want to encounter. And I, for one, think the fact that you're going to redesign the roadway to go with the new lighting and the new sidewalk is very important. So I think that should be done. When we do this also, could we look at some signage? It's one way this way and one way that way, and you're supposed to go around, and it's a very weird setup if you don't know if you haven't used it before. So I think it might need some improved signage as well. And absolutely, definitely lighting, because it can be dark and scary in there. That was my question, which you already answered.
Certainly, the signing will be considered as part of the design and will be implemented as part of the project.
Good. Anything else?
Through the chair.
Michael?
I was wondering what sort of pedestrian traffic patterns you have through that area. I noticed you said that residents and the employees of the National Archive presented the issue. I think the hours of the National Archive are 8 to 4:30 p.m. So I'm wondering if you have very little pedestrian traffic through nighttime hours, how critical is the lighting? And is that something that could be deferred? Maybe have the infrastructure put in for the lighting, but then not move forward on the lighting project, which I imagine might be a more cost impacting project or part of the project.
In the design request for proposal, we request the submitting or the firms to include a lighting assessment. So that will be done during design, and with that result from the assessment, we can clearly have an idea whether lighting is necessary in this area or not.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an optional, lighting design is an optional service.
Okay.
And we could decide then whether to include that or not in the construction aspect of the project.
So we have no idea.
Okay,
when it's
I understand.
gonna be
Thank you.
300,000.
Okay. Anything else? City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, if I might, staff devoted considerable effort to providing alternatives for the City Council's consideration in recognition at this early stage of this project's development that there may be a budget issue when it comes time to award a construction contract. And obviously, as the staff has informed you, we won't know that until the project is actually designed and then put out for bid and the bids are received. What I would suggest, because I am hearing some interest on the part of the council, to have the opportunity to determine what components of the project you would like to construct at the time when you know whether it's going to be, what the funding situation and the cost of the project is going to be. We can certainly structure the bid in a manner that allows those choices to still be available. You certainly have the choice, as the staff has outlined tonight, to delete items from the design, but you also have the opportunity to deal with this at the stage where the construction contract is awarded, and you know what the lighting, for example, is going to cost. You will have then designed it, as you indicated earlier, and have the opportunity to leave it in or not. Same with the pavement.
Okay, any other questions?
Well,
Ken?
I'm all in favor of doing the complete project. I don't think we need to come back in a few years or 5 years and, you know, and redo it. I mean, we have, like the mayor said, we have 1,000 more units that we didn't have a few years ago. And so maybe we don't know it, but there's residents out there that are taking advantage of that access to go to the park or go to Bay Hill now. So I think it needs to be a major link. You know, being a part of the BPAC in the county, this was a very desirable project by the county, by the members of the board, and that's why they granted the grant. We need to move forward on it. So I think if you do we approve the study, the design first, and then you'll come back with the bid? Is that how we're going to do this?
That's correct.
Okay.
Sounded almost like an introduction to the resolution.
I'd like to introduce a resolution to move this along and approve the design.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.